Yo, hello guys, welcome back. We're gonna be doing our third Yap and Explain. This week, um, started shot taking 50 and 0 and thankfully it has been going pretty well. So here we are, this time we're going to be playing 50, Russian cash. I'm gonna try and play around 20 minutes. We're gonna open opening 9s here and then most likely calling a 3-bet. Unless they go too big. I think when it comes to pre-flop, you should be pretty fluid with how you open and then how you call and the stats of the players. I think people are a bit too rigid and they saw a chart, they're happy that they learned it and then they only stick to that regardless of the stats or of the players on the table. Over here on this board we're going to be playing before your check, and when we do hit the trips we're going to be doing some checking. I'm going to just check call when he goes for a small size. There's no reason to raise yet. We don't quite love the heart, but we're definitely not folding. Hopefully the river can pair the board. That would be amazing. A 4, 5, and 8. Hell, I'm taking a jack. But yeah, this is the worst run out possible. Where's the streamer luck? What's happening? Thankfully, we still managed to win. Very interesting that guy. That guy started bluffing diamonds there. Very important to take notes, however, we're playing Zoom right now, so I'm just gonna skip on that. However, when I do play rec tables, I always make sure to note plays like that. Over here with King Jack, we're gonna be opening. Yeah, since we were on the pre-flop topic, so in the early positions, I know some people like to open more hands like King Jack and King 10, and they like to fold their pocket pairs. However, I don't think that's exactly uh, the best way to do it, because if you look at the GTO charts, the reason that they like to open King Jack and King 10 more than, let's say, like pocket pairs is because you have the blockers to the 3-bets. However, because people under 3-bet and people like to flat a lot more than the GTO ranges, I think pocket pairs and suited connectors actually end up working out a bit better from UTG and hijack. Over here, I don't love this spot, however, he went very small, so I think I'm gonna be making a call here with my queen 10. I think I can make a raise versus these stats, as I do think he's gonna have some bluffs. I don't think he only is going to have King X. Another important reason why you need to always check the stats of someone, because if he had, for example, a 1% 3-bet, then it wouldn't have gone for the check raise there. However, when he min clicks, and then we also see that he had quite a bit of 3-betting going on, I definitely think that you can start doing some raises. Now, is it gonna work every time? No, it's not. I've gotten called in a lot of spots where I thought they wouldn't call me ever, but you should still go for them even though you are going to get called sometimes. It's a big problem I had at the beginning of my playing. I was like, oh, I don't want to bluff because what if I get called? But the reality is that your bluffs don't need to work 100% of the time for them to be good. Over here, even though we have top pair, we have a low kicker, and I don't think people are overdoing the spot exactly. So I'm gonna make the fold here. The problem in a spot like this is that The bluffs are kind of live, they're not drawing dead, and I'm also have basically zero equity versus his value. So when I have zero equity versus the value and have around 50%, probably less, but even 30% versus the bluffs, it's not that amazing of a call. You wanna, when you're bluff catching, I think you want to at least be beating the bluffs, right? So I'm kind of a genius for that, I know, but I do think that's a requirement. I mean, if you're bluffing, you're bluff catching, and you're not beating the bluffs, you're kind of in a tough spot. Over here with the nines, I don't think I can be betting the flop. However, now once they check, I do think I can go for a cheeky b75, and they're gonna be calling stuff like 8x. And also, if they have two overs, let's imagine they have ace 10, I still want to do some betting, right? So they don't get a free river. Okay, can we get the video luck over here with kings? Okay, one piece of the puzzle has been acquired. Can the other pieces come? Please, 4-bet? Okay, he doesn't 4-bet. Well, this is not an amazing flop from my hand, but I will be going for a b25 with range on ace-high boards in 3-bet pots. Okay, we kind of have some hope now. I'm gonna go for a check. Sadly, no spade on the river. Yeah, so now if he bets, I think I'm super cooked. I don't think this guy is going to be over bluffing this spot or just bluffing at all. So I'm gonna make the check back here, and he does end up having a6. Over here, I'm going to make the check as I do have backdoor clubs here. I do think you can go b40 quite a lot, but with my hand, like I said, because of the backdoors, I think it's better to check. If my hand was spades, ace nine of spades, I think would have been fine to bet, for example. Yeah, so you always want to look at his stats. You also want to look at his stats well, when you're opening. So for example here, queen 6, right? So we look at these guys and we see that they have a big 3-bet. It's probably not amazing to open, right? But if they both had a low VPIP and low 3-bet, I think it actually would have been an okayish open. So that's why you don't want to be too rigid with your pre-flop ranges. I mean, I guess you do need kind of some basic plan, right, before you get into the game, but once you're actually in it, you should be able to just switch it up. Right, because it goes for the other way. So if someone like 3-bets non-stop, well, you're probably gonna wanna open tighter, right? Because you're just gonna have to fold the lower end of your opening range. Over here with the 9-8, I come on up with 3-bet because I'm on video, but in these positions I don't think it's that amazing. So over here we see this guy has 37% 3-bet, so I think it's ATS, I mean. So I think it's fine to 3-bet a hand like this, even though it's not amazing. And I think it does it sometimes as well. I know a7 does it in those positions. I don't quite remember if a6 suited does it though. I know. Jack says definitely a 3-bet here, so I'm gonna go for a 3-bet. So we look at this guy's stats. Okay, we see he has a pretty okay stats, so I'm most likely going to make the call here. Okay, however, so yeah, and with jacks here, I think we're cooked basically, so I'm gonna be making a fold. So maybe I was doing okay versus this guy, but once this guy back shoves, I don't think he does it too light. So I'm actually kind of curious what happens here. I'm gonna. I don't usually stay to watch, but this is actually interesting. We do manage to blink a straight here. So we actually have the ace king advantage here. Wow. Ooh, whoopsies. We actually have the ace king advantage here. Never mind, amazing fold. This guy would have won. So I'm out. And once we do have the ace king advantage, I think we're allowed to raise here. Since this guy is never gonna have ace king, since he would be 3-betting it. So what I would imagine happens there. So if he has a king, for example, he's gonna be calling my raise here, and then if I shove river, he's most likely gonna have to fold. If he's a reg, if he's a fish, I'm not exactly sure how that turns out to be. But I still think it's fine to shove us straight there. You also want to be playing differently versus regs and fishes, right? You don't want to versus fishes. You can just do whatever your hands want to do. But versus regs, especially if you played with them non-stop, you can't really be doing that because they're gonna notice. But to be fair, you know, some regs I'm gonna have to say they're kind of just AFK at their keyboard. So maybe even versus some regs you can just do whatever with your hand. We're gonna be 3-betting here. Okay, can we just hit a BBJ one time? Come on. Obviously gonna make a call here. Ace one time. Come on, ace on the river. Bless me with a BBJ GG. So normally I would go for a bet here, but you know, BBJ GG. It is what it is. No cigar though. So close yet so far away. Now once he bets here, I don't even know what to do. He bet pot as well. I don't think I can make the call. I even lose to a flush, which is kind of sad. I don't think it's impossible he donks an a6 on the flop, so I'm gonna be making a fold versus spot. Um, Usually I tend to be folding a little bit more if I don't know anything about the players when they go big size, as I do think that big sizers are underbluffed. Here versus this guy, don't think we can make the call versus the limp raise. Yeah, I'm just gonna make the fold here. Then this is gonna be a 3-bet. Kind of sad he limp raised there. I would have liked to see a flop with ace 5, but it is what it is. Oh yeah, the opening size. I also go 2x from every position because it allows me to open more, and then from the small blind I go 2.7. We're gonna be opening ace jack here from the hijack, and most likely call a 3-bet. Let's see what's up. Are we gonna get some action, or are we getting edged by this guy? Okay, so I did say that I'm gonna call a 3-bet, and even though he did bet quite big, it does seem like this guy 3-bets sometimes, so I'm gonna make the call here. Not exactly an amazing board, but once he goes b25, we definitely have an easy call with second pair. Over here with the 8-7, on this board, well, we do have the advantage. I think this guy is gonna check back a little bit too much is a6. Now over here, I think he's gonna have a lot of barrels, like ace king. So I'm gonna make the call again, and then if he shoves the river, then I'm probably gonna fold. He's also gonna have spades on the turn, obviously. So I think the call on the turn is correct. There's also quite a few people who are a bit scared, so if he had kings or aces, I'm not sure he would have been betting them on the turn. And then he does end up with ace king, so we made a very nice call. Same thing as I was saying at the start of the video. The only reason that I managed to call the turn is because I took a look at his 3-bet stat. So when we see this guy has 10% 3-bet, we know that he's not only 3-betting the nuts from the big blind. If he had 1 or 2%, obviously I would have had to make the fold on the turn, as he only would have had aces and kings. With the 4-2 here, once we have a backdoor, I think we're just going to call. If I have had 4-3 of hearts, for example, I could have seen a raise. Now I think we're just gonna have to check. So what happens here is that a lot of people are just going to be checking back their a6 once the flush hits. So now, as sad as it is, I do think he's gonna have quite a bit of a6 that checks back, and that will never fold. So I'm gonna make the check back. But this time he does have 10-9, so maybe a bit of a miscalculation by me. Yeah, maybe it's a mistake there with the 4-3. However, if he has a hand like ace-10, ace-9, basically any lower ace-x, I do think he's gonna bet, and then he's gonna check once the flush hits, and then river. Is he gonna bet one pair? Probably not. Yeah, if you guys have a different opinion there, I'm more than welcome to entertain it. It's just in the specific spot. Once the top pair is an a6, I don't think I can go for a bluff. Over here we get the kings. Let's get something going. Oh wow, if this guy backshoves, that would be amazing. So he doesn't backshove. He does end up calling. With the kings on the other table, we're gonna go for a 4-bet. We're gonna go for a b40 on this board. Since it's a 9-high board. But sadly, both of them end up folding. No action for me. I'm kind of getting good hands, but they're not exactly going anywhere, so I'm a little bit sad about that, but it is what it is. Over here with the 9s, we're going to be making a call. Now, kind of interesting spot here. So, we're going to be making a call since we do have a club, but definitely not an amazing spot, as I can just be drawing that on the flop. Now once he checks, I don't think I can start bluffing, so I'm gonna check back. Okay. I low-key, so I don't think they're gonna snap check back queen high. And I do think they have sets and straights here, so I'm gonna go for some 10 value. And we do manage to get called, so I'm pretty happy about my bet. I don't know, tough spot. I do think I'm correct to value bet there, but I do think it's close. Maybe it was a mistake. I'm not exactly sure. And as we are close to 20 minutes, I will be setting out. Yeah, definitely close with the 9s there. I don't think it's possible he checks back a flush, but I think if they do check back a flush, they're gonna think a little bit more about it. With the 8-7, we're gonna be calling here. Let's see what size he chooses on the flop. Versus a check, we're gonna go for a b25 here. Now the ace is horrendous for us, as he's going to check back a lot of ace king ace queen. So we're gonna have to check back here. Now even on the river, so I could try and go for a shove, as I don't think they ever uh, snap check back a straight. However, the problem is if he has an ace, I'm not sure he's gonna fold it. So I'm gonna make the check back here. But he does not have an ace, he has jacks. Okay, I did not think he would be playing jacks this way. Maybe a little bit of a mistake by me, but usually if people check the flop with jacks there, they're checking so they can check raise. I really didn't I really didn't expect him to have jacks there. And even another interesting thing, so even when they do slow play jacks there, right? The bulk of his range is still going to be a6, because I don't think he's going to always check back his jacks, right? So he's gonna have jacks some percent of the time, and then a6 is gonna have always. So I think it was a okay assumption. This is it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I also stream on Twitch, so make sure to check that out. Goodbye.